Engineers lost their minds building these tractors. We're talking twin engines, touchscreens, and one powered by an actual nuclear reactor. These 10 machines prove that sometimes smart people make really dumb decisions. Number 10. Steiger Panther Series 4 KM325. Picture the most badass tractor ever built in America. That's the Steiger Panther. Back in the 1980s, when bigger was definitely better, these guys decided to build a tractor like it was going to war. This beast packed a massive 14.6-liter Caterpillar engine pumping out 325 horsepower. At full throttle, this machine consumed fuel at rates that would bankrupt smaller farming operations within a single season. Those tires? Each one stood over 6 feet tall. We're talking about a machine that could probably tow your house. Here's where it gets crazy. Steiger built this thing like NASA equipment. The frame weighed more than 3 pickup trucks before they even installed the massive engine components. They used aerospace welding techniques for the frame. The hydraulics ran at pressures that would make industrial machinery jealous. Even the cab had sound dampening stolen from luxury cars. Everything was built to last forever. And I mean forever. These tractors from the 80s are still running today with their original engines. Farmers who bought them basically purchased immortal machines. But here's the thing. Most farms didn't need a tractor built for the apocalypse. Steiger created agricultural equipment that treated farming like a battle against planet Earth. Beautiful? Absolutely. Practical? That's debatable. These machines became legends because they were so ridiculously over-engineered that they couldn't break down even if they tried. Steiger proved massive power could be elegant. But what happens when elegance becomes your enemy? Number 9. Deutz Alles 9150 Power Sync. Now here's where engineering went completely wrong. The Deutz Alles Power Sync sounded amazing on paper. The world's first fully computerized tractor transmission. What could go wrong? Everything. Released in 1989, this tractor had computers controlling literally everything. No mechanical backup, no manual override. Just computers making split-second decisions that confused the hell out of everyone. Diagnostic error codes appeared in German, leaving American farmers staring at incomprehensible technical messages during critical planting seasons. Imagine being stuck in a field during planting season with your tractor speaking German to you. The computer was supposed to be smarter than farmers. It monitored engine speed, ground conditions, implement load, then made transmission decisions that made absolutely no sense to anyone who'd actually farmed before. When these systems failed, and they failed constantly, you needed specialized computer equipment to fix them. Farmers watched their expensive tractors display cryptic error messages while crops rotted in fields during harvest. Your local mechanic who could rebuild an engine blindfolded couldn't help you. Simple problems became $1,000 dealer visits. Experienced farmers couldn't troubleshoot electronic failures. The computer made decisions that contradicted decades of farming knowledge. It was like having a know-it-all teenager controlling your tractor. Deutz Alles built a tractor for the future before anyone was ready for that future. The power sync worked perfectly. When it worked. When it didn't, you owned an expensive paperweight. PowerSync proved computers could control everything. But could farming survive the strangest hybrid ever attempted? Number 8. Chamberlain Super 70 Duplex Drive. Australian engineers apparently asked themselves, what if we took 2 tractors and stuck them together? The result was the weirdest machine in agricultural history. The Chamberlain Super 70 Duplex wasn't built. It was Frankensteined together from 2 complete tractors connected by an articulated joint. 2 engines, 2 transmissions, 8 wheels, and 1 very confused operator. Operating this contraption required the coordination skills of a symphony conductor managing 2 completely independent orchestras simultaneously. You sat in front controlling 2 separate machines that had to work together like dancing partners. The math was simple. 2 70-horsepower tractors equals 140 horsepower total. But the execution was bonkers. Backing up became a geometric nightmare. The rear unit pushed while the front unit pulled in different directions. Everything had to be perfectly synchronized or nothing worked. Mechanical linkages connected the steering. Hydraulic connections shared power. If one system hiccuped, the whole contraption turned into an expensive sculpture. Maintenance meant servicing 2 complete tractors instead of 1. Parts costs doubled. Complexity tripled. Common sense disappeared entirely. But you know what? It actually worked. This bizarre Frankenstein machine could outpull conventional tractors that cost twice as much to purchase. For farmers who needed serious pulling power without buying a bigger engine, this Frankenstein solution delivered results. Weird, impractical, but effective. Chamberlain proved that sometimes the craziest ideas actually work, even when they probably shouldn't. Duplex innovation proved creativity conquers convention. But what happens when German perfection meets unlimited budgets? Number 7. Fendt 1050 Vario Profi Plus. Germans don't mess around when they decide to build the perfect tractor. The Fendt 1050 Vario represents everything magnificent about German engineering applied to farming without any budget constraints whatsoever. This machine features a continuously variable transmission that's smoother than most luxury cars, a single tractor that cost more than most farmers' entire land holdings, making ownership an impossible dream for ordinary operations. 0 to 50 kilometers per hour without a single gear change. It feels like flying, not farming. The cab is basically a luxury sedan with air conditioning, massage seats, and a sound system that rivals high-end cars. The dashboard displays real-time data on everything imaginable, from fuel consumption to individual soil moisture readings. But the real magic is the precision technology. GPS guidance, accurate to the centimeter. Automatic implement control. Variable rate application that adjusts fertilizer based on soil mapping. This tractor creates detailed field records automatically. Every system is designed for absolute perfection. Active suspension adjusts to field conditions. Hydraulics provide precision that borders on surgical. Engine management optimizes power delivery for specific applications. This represents agricultural equipment built without compromise. German manufacturing standards applied to farming. Every component engineered for precision, reliability, and performance that justifies the astronomical price tag. When engineering excellence meets unlimited resources, you get technological masterpieces that happen to farm. Fendt perfection proved money could buy anything. But what destroyed the simplicity farmers actually needed? Number 6. New Holland TV 6070 bidirectional. Someone at New Holland thought farmers needed tractors that worked backwards as well as forwards. The TV 6070 bidirectional was supposed to revolutionize farming efficiency. Instead, it revolutionized confusion. This tractor had operator controls that spun 180 degrees, equal-sized wheels at both ends, PTO systems front and rear. The idea was simple: flip the seat around and keep working in the opposite direction. Insurance companies refused coverage after operators accidentally drove these tractors through barn walls, thinking they were backing up. That should tell you everything about how well this concept worked in practice. Reality crushed theory immediately. Operators constantly became disoriented about which direction was forward. Control layouts that made sense facing one way became gibberish when reversed. The engineering complexity multiplied everything exponentially. Mechanics needed training manuals thicker than phone books just to understand the basic operational systems. 2 PTO systems meant twice the failures. Equal-sized wheels compromised steering and load distribution. Hydraulics became nightmarishly complex. But the worst part was training. Experienced farmers couldn't adapt to reversed controls. New operators learned bidirectional operation but couldn't run normal tractors. The learning curve created more problems than the efficiency gains solved. New Holland solved problems that didn't exist while creating problems that couldn't be solved. Bidirectional operation represented over-engineering at its most impractical. Innovation without practical application becomes pure frustration. Bidirectional chaos proved innovation needs direction. But could weird science create the most unusual farming solution ever? Number 5. Wagner WA14 Articulated Twin Engine. Wagner engineers looked at the horsepower problem and decided the solution was simple: use 2 engines. The WA14 represents the most unusual approach to high-horsepower farming ever attempted. This machine mounted 2 complete powertrains in an articulated chassis. Front engine powered front wheels independently. Rear engine powered rear wheels independently. The chassis bent in the middle like a snake. 2 synchronized powertrains that required constant radio communication between operators monitoring each engine's performance and coordination requirements. You needed the coordination skills of an air traffic controller to operate this thing. The concept was mathematically sound. 2 150 horsepower engines provided 300 horsepower total without developing larger, more complex engines. Simple multiplication applied to complex mechanical challenges. But operating this machine required unprecedented skills: 2 throttles, 2 transmissions, 2 hydraulic systems. Power had to be balanced perfectly, or the articulated joint experienced enormous stress. Maintenance became an exercise in dual system complexity. 2 complete engines meant twice the oil changes, twice the potential breakdowns, twice the headaches. The strangest aspect was the electronic synchronization trying to balance power delivery between engines that never performed identically. If one engine hiccuped slightly, the entire machine would shake itself apart from mechanical stress. Constant adjustments were required. Wagner created agricultural equipment that belonged in experimental museums rather than working farms. The WA-14 proved engineering creativity had no limits, even when limits might have been helpful. Twin-engine articulation proved weird works, sometimes. But what happens when simple plans create impossible complexity? Number 4. Versatile 1156 Big Roy. When Canadian engineers decided to build the most powerful farm tractor in history, they didn't mess around. The versatile 1156 Big Roy became a legend that still dominates prairie wheat fields 40 years later. This mechanical masterpiece houses a 19-liter Detroit diesel engine producing 600 horsepower. The fuel tank alone held more diesel than most compact cars would consume in an entire year of daily driving. The same engine that powered locomotives, adapted for agricultural domination. They built this tractor like heavy industrial equipment. The axles could handle loads from mining trucks, yet were installed on farming equipment. Frame welding borrowed from bridge construction. Axles designed for mining loads. Hydraulics operating at pressures that would destroy normal agricultural components. The cooling system was absolutely massive. Industrial-grade radiators with fans that could handle sustained full-load operation in 100-degree heat. Oil coolers sized for desert mining. Coolant capacity exceeding most pickup trucks. Prairie farming demanded equipment capable of maximum capacity operation for weeks without rest. The Big Roy delivered through mechanical excellence that transcended typical agricultural standards. This wasn't just a tractor, it was agricultural equipment elevated to industrial art. Every component engineered for maximum durability, power, and capability. The result became legendary among farmers who demanded perfection. Farmers who bought these machines purchased icons that inspired respect, fear, and admiration in equal measure. The Big Roy proved ultimate power required ultimate engineering. But what happens when that power becomes completely uncontrollable? Number 3. Case IH 9280 Quad Track. Case IH believed the future of farming required computer science degrees. The 9280 Quad Track promised precision agriculture through electronic complexity and delivered expensive frustration that bankrupted operations worldwide. 4 independent rubber track systems controlled by sophisticated computer modules managing traction, steering, and load distribution automatically. Everything controlled by interconnected electronics making thousands of calculations per second. Service calls required technicians with computer science degrees rather than traditional mechanics who understood grease and steel components. Your local mechanic became useless overnight. The engineering team believed farmers needed computerized precision for modern agriculture. GPS guidance, variable rate application, automatic section control, real-time yield mapping. Digital intelligence promised to revolutionize efficiency. What farmers discovered was electronic chaos. Track control modules failed regularly in remote fields where cellular service couldn't reach diagnostic systems. Simple steering problems became $1,000 dealer visits. Experienced operators who understood mechanical systems couldn't troubleshoot electronic failures. Traditional farmers felt like they needed engineering degrees just to start their own tractors. The computer made decisions contradicting decades of agricultural experience. Track responses felt disconnected from operator input, creating dangerous situations. Case IH designed equipment for the digital age without considering that farming still happens in dirt, dust, and extreme weather that destroys electronics regularly. This machine represented everything wrong with over-engineering, expensive solutions to problems farmers didn't have, creating problems farmers couldn't solve. Quad-track complexity proved technology could control everything. But could the ultimate engineering challenge survive the harshest conditions imaginable? Number 2. Kurovets K-700 Nuclear. Soviet engineers with unlimited resources and radioactive imagination created the most unusual agricultural equipment in history. The K-700 Nuclear wasn't just over-engineered, it was powered by a nuclear reactor. This machine mounted a compact nuclear power plant in an armored chassis designed for radioactive environments. The reactor powered electric motors at each wheel hub, eliminating mechanical transmissions entirely. The reactor produced enough radiation to sterilize entire fields, making the harvested crops completely unsuitable for human consumption. Minor design flaw there. Soviet planners believed nuclear-powered tractors would enable agricultural production in areas contaminated by nuclear warfare. Post-apocalyptic farming represented thinking so far beyond practical requirements, it achieved pure science fiction. Operating this machine required nuclear engineering knowledge no agricultural college taught. Radiation shielding added enormous weight, destroying soil structure. Cooling requirements meant carrying more water than fuel capacity of conventional machines. Emergency procedures required evacuation protocols instead of simple maintenance routines. The operational philosophy assumed nuclear warfare had made normal farming impossible. Only 2 prototypes were built before common sense prevailed. The project ended when engineers realized radioactive farming probably violated several international treaties. The K-700 nuclear proved that unlimited engineering capability without practical limitations could produce machines belonging in atomic museums rather than working farms. This represents the ultimate example of engineers solving problems that existed only in their imaginations. Nuclear farming proved anything was possible. But what happens when engineering reaches absolute perfection? Number 1. Big Bud 16 volts 747. When Montana farmers needed a machine capable of deep-ripping 3,000 acres of virgin prairie, Northern Manufacturing built the largest, most powerful farm tractor in history and created a legend. This mechanical monument stands 14 feet tall, stretches 27 feet long, and weighs 100,000 pounds fully ballasted. A 16-cylinder Detroit diesel engine produces 1,100 horsepower through a transmission designed for locomotives. Each tire cost more than a brand-new pickup truck, making replacement decisions that required serious financial planning and consideration. Custom Goodyear Super Singles standing over 8 feet tall, designed specifically for this machine. The engineering team treated this like space program engineering. Aerospace welding techniques, mining equipment axles, hydraulics operating at pressures destroying conventional systems, industrial cooling for desert operations. Northern Manufacturing understood that some agricultural challenges required solutions transcending normal engineering limitations. The 16V747 represented equipment elevated to industrial art. Only one was ever built, making it the rarest production tractor in history. Building another Big Bud would require convincing someone to spend millions on farming machinery again. This wasn't agricultural equipment. It was a monument to engineering excellence, inspiring generations of farmers and engineers. American engineering created a machine limited only by imagination and budget. The result became legendary forever, proving that when ambition meets unlimited resources, icons are born. The Big Bud proved that when engineering meets unlimited ambition, the results become legendary forever. 10 tractors that forgot farmers just wanted to plow. Subscribe for more mechanical mayhem.